Welcome to the Bruins Benders Podcast, Season 3 premiere with Maddie and Smitty, brought to you on the Inside the Rink Podcast Network. InsideTheRink.com is your one-stop shop for all your NHL and ECHL news, insight, and analysis. Follow on Twitter at Inside_the_Rink. Download the Inside the Rink app and subscribe to the Inside the Rink YouTube page to watch our episodes. Smitty will let you know how you can sign up for ESPN Plus.
Sure, you can sign up for ESPN Plus by going to the Inside the Rink website. Go to InsideTheRink.com/ESPN and sign up today. I have ESPN Plus. I love all the Major League Baseball, soccer, college sports, UFC, and much, much more, including college and NHL hockey coming back very, very soon. So sign up for ESPN Plus at InsideTheRink.com/ESPN today so you don't miss any Bruins action. One last time, sign up at InsideTheRink.com/ESPN.
Well, terrific. And the Prospect Challenge just occurred out in Buffalo. Bruins win 1, lose 2. There were some interesting performances. Brett Harrison had 3 goals. Thought he played pretty well. Also, Luke Toporowski continues to show that he may be an option coming up this season, maybe for the Bruins as well. Matthew Poitras played pretty well and has some terrific hands. I saw some clips of him dancing around the zone with the puck. So there were some really good, I guess some good bright lights for the team. They continue to be amongst the bottom prospects wise in the league, but I thought that there were some good signs that some players are developing.
Yeah, there's some bright spots during the tournament for sure. Harrison was definitely one, and he's always been that's kind of his MO, is he's always been able to shoot the puck, and it's good to see that he's shooting the puck and the puck is going into the net, because there's been some prospects in the past, he has a good shot, but it doesn't translate to actual goals. So to see some goals and some production coming there, that's good to see. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates once he gets into camp with bigger, stronger, faster guys, if he can get the shot off and so forth. But Toporowski's been, he's kind of a speedy, gritty guy and with some skill, and he's definitely an option, I think, for kind of maybe a tweener, an up and down guy if there are some injuries, or maybe he makes a push for the bottom 6. Who knows? But there were some bright spots. And then there was some, Mason Lohrei had a couple of tough games, I heard. So, it'll be interesting to see what his confidence level is going into the full training camp, which opened today.
It did open today. The Bruins begin the 2023-24 season and play on September 24th, their first preseason game. You mentioned Lohrei. Frederick Brunet was a guy I was looking at as well. I do see, though, that neither guy is all that physical, and we've talked about the defensive core. It seems to be a couple more guys that fit the MO of move the puck, play well offensively, an option certainly offensively, but we've also talked about how the defensive core doesn't have enough jam, doesn't have enough, nasty and that type of thing. So I wonder if, the Bruins are just, either not looking to develop that type of guy, or are they just going to get a veteran type of guy to fill that role like a Shattenkirk going forward?
Yeah, it probably is going to be a veteran, I think. It's kind of a lot to ask a rookie defenseman, unless, it's in their DNA to really come in and kind of change the way they play. Lohrai's more of an offensive guy. I think he started his career as a forward, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think it's just it's asking a lot of someone, especially when they're trying to break into the league, to come in and play maybe a little bit of a different style. They really need to kind of stay to what their game is, what's true to them, and what got them to this level. And then, maybe they can expand their game a little bit and add some of that physicality when they develop more, maturity and so forth.
Yeah, so I think that the prospects are, the prospect pool is still rather thin, and that's partly the drafting, partly because of where they're drafting, and so forth. But I think we've seen again though here that there's not a lot ready to go, and I think that's why management went with some veteran 1-year deals to sort of bridge the gap, and I think that came to be during this prospect challenge that. Maybe they just aren't guys ready to go right now. So they created that security by having some veteran people. All right, it is time now for Seven Chirps, and Seven Chirps is brought to you by Lops Brewing, Lobster Brewery and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers. It's open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS to get 10% off your online order. Go to lopsbrewing.com and follow them at Lops Brewing for new beers and events on social media. Number 1, Bruins Historic 100 came out. Do you have any thoughts on who was there, who was omitted, and so forth?
I don't know if there's really any glaring omissions, looking through the thing. I mean, 100 guys is kind of
a lot of guys.
There's some interesting ones. You have, like Jason Allison in there, didn't play a ton of time with the Bruins. Some other guys. Phil Kessel, was with the Bruins for a short time, then goes somewhere else and wins all his cups. So it's interesting to see some of those guys, maybe more seem like fringe Bruins, or like when you think of them, like when you think of Phil Kessel, do you think Bruin? You probably don't.
I don't now. I don't anymore. I mean, I don't. No.
So
I think Leafs and Pengs
kind of stuff is interesting to me. Some guys that maybe moved around a little bit, that maybe you wouldn't necessarily think of as Bruins that are on this list, Yeah,
I'm looking at the list and I'm trying to see it. I don't know if he's there, and I'm a little surprised because, let's face it, Ted Donato is there, but I don't see Glenn Murray. And Glenn Murray had 2 stints for the Bruins, and put up a lot of friggin' points.
He certainly did.
And I don't see him there, and that's a little weird. When you have, but you have like Sean Thornton, and that he's on there because I think they took into consideration some fan favorites like Johnny Boychuk's on there. He's not one of the best defensemen ever to play, but he's on there, and and like I said, like a guy like Ted Donato's there, like Stan Jonathan's there. I mean, he was a fighter and a tough guy. But Glenn Murray is not, and that I find interesting because if you look at his stats, he put up some points. He was a good player.
I think so. We were mentioning guys that you wouldn't think of as Bruins. Glenn Murray is a guy that I would say you do think of.
Right.
He's the Bruins when you think of Glenn Murray. It's not necessarily the Kings or one of the other teams that he's been on.
Right.
Bruins. So that is a little bit odd to me there.
Yeah, I thought that was a little strange, but like you said, 100 guys, a lot of guys. So I'm not going to nitpick on who wasn't there. I am happy Adam Oates was there. He's only played 5 years, but he's there. Of course, he was fantastic with them.
Yeah,
and then you have Mike O'Connell's there, and that's probably a little ode to the GM there too.
Sure.
Yeah, a little double dip there, but yeah, I think Murray's the one guy. Recky's there, which is good. He wasn't there a lot, but he helped win the cup. He's a Hall of Fame player. So I don't really have Byron Defoe was on it, which I thought was interesting. He was a pretty good goaltender, but I wouldn't if you say okay, who's our top 100 historic Bruins? Byron Defoe is like 346. But, hey, that's okay. That's just me.
You probably wouldn't make my list. I could name probably 4 or 5 goalies before I would name Byron Defoe.
Right, yeah. I'd name Andy Moog and Reggie Lemelin before.
Yeah, both of those guys.
So
yeah. I would go Tuukka. I would go Cheevers. Moog, Lemelin.
Yeah.
Pete Peters had that unbelievable stretch in the early 80s.
Right. Tiny Thompson.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a bunch of guys before you get to Byron Defoe, I would say.
Wait, do you think PJ Axelson is on the top?
He probably is. I think he is.
Is he? Is he? Yeah,
I think he is.
he's a historic 100. Yeah.
Steve Castro's on there.
I'll tell you what, who has a chance to knock somebody off is Danton Heinen if he makes the team, because everybody loves some Danton Heinen. So, and if
Nicholson's on there, I see
he's
him.
on, yeah. Oh yeah, he's there. He's there 100%. Yeah. So there's your top 100 or so. Charlie Simmer made it, which was nice. I mean, he was a pretty good player for them. Scored a lot of goals. Craig Janney. So good.
He absolutely should be on it.
Yeah, he should be on it. All right, chirp number 2. How about these jerseys?
Ah, Jesus.
Here's my question. What's with all the lines on the sleeves? Jesus.
That's what everybody says. So the actual jerseys themselves, like if you just take off, the
5 line
the sleeves,
yeah,
you did great.
Yeah, you did great.
Like the home and away are beautiful jerseys. They're simple, they're classic. But then you go, 3 yellow, 2 white, and what you'd call it, 4 black, 5 black stripes there.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
It's look at the third jersey. It's gold, black, white, black, gold. That's all you had to do.
That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do.
And I tell you, I really like the third jerseys. I like
the gold. I like the gold one. I like that one. I like the 1924 in there. I like it.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's a little bit of an ode to the 80s Bruins there in the middle with the crest and but then I saw the sleeves. I was like, what? How do you put that many stripes on there?
No, I mean,
what are you doing?
I just don't understand it. I mean,
no, I don't.
They're nice, and I'm sure they'll look great on the ice. I really love the third ones. I like the other 2. But I would have loved the other 2 if they had just settled down a little bit with the fucking stripes on the sleeve.
Right, I know. I know. I would almost rather have no stripes at all.
I'm with you.
Just the B, the spoke B in the middle, in all black. That's nice.
I would have preferred that too.
Right.
And the other thing that I'll nitpick about is they went one shoulder patch with the Centennial thing. I would have put it on both shoulders.
Yeah, put it on both.
Or go Centennial patch on one side and go Cocaine Bear or Meth Bear on the other side.
On the other, sure. Or Original 6 or something. I don't know, something.
Yeah, something else. So the single patch and the extra stripes on the sleeves, I'm not a fan of that. But overall, it's a nice looking jersey. It's a classic looking jersey. They just went a little drunk with the stripes.
Yeah, I think I saw $260 a pop for the Stars.
For the authentics and if I'm spending $260 on one of these, I'm buying the third jersey.
Absolutely, I'm buying the third jersey.
That, or I'm getting someone to bringing it to a seamstress and getting them to take some of the fucking stripes.
Yeah.
It's so happy with this. This has to do with fucking stripes.
My issue is that I want the black because I'll spill coffee all over the fucking white one.
Yeah, sure you will.
But so that's my issue is that I'm going to get that thing dirty. You wouldn't believe.
I'm with you. I think if you go no stripes, that's better than what they did.
That's better. That would be really classic. Wow, I'd like that.
Yeah.
All right, chirp 3. Brad Marchand is the new captain of the Boston Bruins. Never thought I'd see this a few years ago. Since he entered the league in 2009 and 10, here is what Marchand is: first in shorthanded goals, second in plus minus, third in playoff points, tied for third in playoff goals, tied for third in game-winning goals, fifth in playoff assists, seventh in goals, 13th in points, 19th in assists. Wow.
I mean, he's had
in the last 15 years.
He's had a pretty good career.
He has.
And I honestly think that he was the right choice. We talked about it before. I thought it was going to be him. I think McAvoy is probably, the captain in waiting. He was assigned one of the alternates along with Pasternak, which was a little bit of a surprise to me.
That was a surprise.
His contract kind of dictates that he is in a leadership role just because he's getting paid a lot of money and he's going to get his share of the blame when things don't go well. So I could see it from that standpoint. But there's been guys like Carlo and some other guys that you maybe thought maybe would have a chance of getting that other.
I thought Coyle might and Carlo. I thought those are two good candidates there. But yeah, I was a little surprised on Pasternak. I see why they did Marchand, and I'm interested to see still how much longer he'll play. But and there's a lot of there's been some uproar from around the league, and even Bruins fans who still put that stigma on him as how can you say that he's a captain material and all this? Because they had Bergeron and Chara, two of the most respected, two of the biggest gentlemen in the league. And then Marchand is not that. Like, he's not that at all.
Isn't Tkachuk a captain in Florida?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
I think he's the captain, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, knock the shit off. Like,
I know.
There's plenty of guys who stir shit up and play on the edge that are captains. So, knock it off. I mean, just knock it off.
Yeah, and Marchand isn't as bad anymore, obviously.
No, he's cleaned up his act. I mean, he doesn't lick guys anymore and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't see what the uproar is really about, because he's cleaned up his act and he's the logical guy in my opinion. He's I don't know if he's the only guy left that's won a cup, but he's certainly close to it.
Yeah, I think he's the only guy now that Bergeron and Krejci are gone. Oh, Lucic is back.
Lucic is back. Yeah.
So there you go.
So,
yeah, two guys.
They're really, if you want to try to keep a hold of that winning culture and sustain, what those other guys have built, he's the natural bridge to, the next set of guys, which is, your Pasternaks and your McAvoys and so forth. So, I think he's the perfect choice, honestly.
27th captain, only the 9th captain since Johnny Busick was captain. You had Cashman, O'Reilly, Middleton, Bork, Jason Allison briefly, Joe Thornton briefly, and then Chara, Bergeron, and now Marchand. So only 27 in the 100 years of the Bruins. So they take it seriously, and big shoes to fill for Marchand. But again, we'll see how long he plays. Chirp number 4. What are some things you're watching closely as training camp opened today?
So something that I'm keeping particular tabs on is the young guys in the AAA in the AHL that are kind of trying to crack into the lineup versus some of the guys on the amateur, the professional tryouts or whatever, your Alex Chasons and your Danton Heinens. Who's going to win out in that battle kind of for some of the bottom 6 spots. In my opinion, it's going to be the Chasons and the Heinens. They've been in the league. They have scored. They have played in Stanley Cup finals. They have experience. So I really think that those guys are going to end up winning out over maybe some guys like your Osterker Steens and the like, Mark McLaughlin, some guys like that are just kind of, unless they blow people away, I think those veteran guys, if all things are equal, are going to be guys that are going to take spots on the team.
Well, look, you're going to err on the side of caution, so you're going to, like Mark McLaughlin last year was a numbers game with him. Like everybody thought, boy, McLaughlin should make the team out of camp, and he didn't. Then it turned out that he goes to Providence and gets off to a really tough start. Like I
wonder if he kind of, pouted about not making the team and let it affect his play. And, we've said it before, consistency is a big thing.
Yeah.
About being an NHL player, you can't have, real highs and lows like that. So,
I think they'll go the conservative route, and they'll, like you said, unless someone just blows them away, I don't think you'll see any of those guys really in Providence probably make the team out of camp, just because they really loaded up with veterans who could play bottom 6 minutes, and they're going to go with those guys. Maybe a Chason and a Heinen, either or, makes the team and fills a spot, and then see where you are, and then maybe just kind of filter those guys in as injuries come through, and you try to give them a taste here or there. But I would be really surprised if someone comes in like a Beecher or a Toporowski, or someone comes in and plays, or even a Mikulov or someone comes in and makes it right out of camp. I would really be surprised.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, Sharp 5. Don Sweeney said contract talks with Jake DeBrusk will begin during camp. He said he wanted to see if DeBrusk wants to stay. I found it interesting because didn't DeBrusk say recently, like a week or so ago, that he did want to stay?
I believe he did.
Yeah.
I believe he did. So
that was a weird comment.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Sweeney is talking about. I think he probably got caught up in his own words there and didn't really have a way out of what he was trying to say of his sentence, because he started to say one thing and then he was like, well, I don't know how to get out of this.
Right.
So I think he just said that, probably even knowing that DeBrusk had already said that he wanted to stay.
Right. Well, here's my sports radio conspiracy. I think that tells me that does he want to stay, meaning we're going to offer him what we think we should offer him, which is probably a little less than he thinks he's going to get. So we'll see if he wants to stay. That's what it says to me.
I think
so. I'm waiting for a 5 times 5.5 deal or something like that, like a lower than market value offer out of the gate here. I am.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I mean, that's really the Bruins' MO. They try to get guys on good deals. They try to lowball people. It's really the MO of everyone in this town.
The
way they handle the players and the contract negotiations, with the exception of the Celtics, who just pay out their
they just pay anybody. Yeah.
They just don't care. And honestly, I think I wish the Celtics ownership was running the Bruins.
Right.
And the Red Sox and the Patriots. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, I think that's how they handle things. They like to, win deals and get guys to sign for less. And sometimes it creates some animosity. Sometimes guys leave, so it will be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Now, if Jake doesn't produce, it's an easy negotiation. Yeah. 5 times 5, he'll say, sure.
But, right.
But if
that's why I think in training camp, before they even have seen what DeBrusk will do without Bergeron or Krejci, I think in training camp the negotiation starts a little low and see if he'll bite. And if he doesn't, then it's all on Jake. The pressure's kind of on him to come. You can't come out of the gate with 1 goal in the first month, because they come back and say, okay, well, this is what you are. So. Jake is kind of betting on himself, I think. I think he's asking, if I was Jake DeBrusk right now, I'd ask 6 times 6.5. That's where I would start. Boom.
If I'm him, I'm probably asking for 7.
Yeah, sure.
If he's a 20 to 30 goal scorer in the league,
right.
I'm asking for 7, and, maybe you meet in the middle,
And I'm certainly asking for 6 years, because next year, a month into the year, he turns 28. So this is his chance to get to 34 years old with this contract. Yeah. And then you go 1-year deals from there. Like then you're an old veteran. But this is his big deal. Yeah. So I think they'll get it done. But here's the other question. If you're the Bruins, isn't it in the back of your head that this guy kind of quit on the team before, and he's had a little bit of a history, not in the last year or so, year and a half, but he's had a little bit of a history of disappearing a little, not giving great effort all the time. Like, it's in his DNA that he might, coast a little. Do you think in the back of their head they're saying, okay, if he gets his big deal, where's his motivation level? Because he's shown it before that his motivation can subside some. So is that something that's in there?
It could be. I mean, if I'm them and I'm looking at the positive side of things, maybe I think, oh, he's grown. He's grown in those days. He's matured. So now he realizes what it takes after playing with Bergeron, after playing with Marchand, guys who are really true professionals that really give 100% day in and day out. He's learned that that's how you have to play to be, an elite player in this league. And maybe some of that's rubbed off on him and he's kind of figured it out. And then some of the other stuff also was during COVID, where a lot of people, had some issues. He even mentioned he had some, mental health kind of things, struggling with, kind of the isolation part of that. So, I think the Bruins probably will chalk it up to those things, but it does have to be maybe there just a little bit in the back of your mind. Like, if you give this guy a ton of money, is he gonna go all out for us, all the time?
Yeah, I think it has to be there a little bit. Now, I'm not, in fairness to DeBrusk, he's even when he had a trade request, was in the midst of it, he started to perform well again. And even with Cassidy still there, he had a big second half of the year there. I mean, so he's been good the last year and a half. But I just, there's something in there too. I think his value. I mean, around the league, you'd probably say, okay, stats wise, okay, this is kind of where it is. But I don't know what they see his value at, and I'm really interested to see how that negotiation goes. And he said, even just a few days ago, it takes two to tango, which I was like, oh, like that's an interesting comment to make, that they haven't come to him with an offer, and he is kind of, wondering the same thing. So we'll see what happens in that. They have some money next year. They have the room, and they're kind of backed into a corner a little bit. After losing Hall, after losing Bertuzzi, Bergeron and Krejci, like they need the offense. So if he's still providing it,
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing, is he's one of the few guys on the team who has, some real speed, some game-breaking kind of ability to go by guys on the outside, which they lost with Hall being gone, and they didn't have a ton of team speed to begin with. So, he's really that one guy who is kind of a breakaway type of threat there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how they value him, and whether or not he can and they can come to terms.
Right. Chirp 6, the Providence Bruins head coach talked about Georgi Mikulov, and I found this interesting. Here's his quote. Now it's pen to paper. It's rubber to road for Merck. You want to be a center in the National Hockey League, you have to buy into how we play on our own end, and that's up to Merck now. He goes on to say you have to give him a why all the time. He's super inquisitive. The why with Merck was we want to be in and out of our D zone. We want your energy for offense. There's a certain way of selling it and a certain way to buy in, and he bought in. There is some talk of whether Mikulov is willing to play a 200-foot game, essentially, is willing to play defense. And that's going to be the difference between him being, like you said, inconsistency and in and out of the league, or is he going to be Ryan Donato, or is he going to be a top 6 center?
Yeah, I think it was a slow start to him in the A last year, and I think that was where that quote was kind of from, was early in the season. He wasn't really buying in, and he was struggling to put up points, and wasn't having a great, beginning to the season. And, he kind of bought in, there maybe a third of the way through, and then kind of blossomed after that. Defense led to offense, and he was dynamic after that, the last, 2/3 of the season down there. So hopefully, the buy-in continues, and, he builds on that and has a real strong training camp and pushes for a spot, because they need all the help they can get offensively. They need centers. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the organization knows that. Those young guys are chomping at the bit. Merkulov, Beecher, those guys want to try to crack the lineup, and there's a role for both of those guys if they can develop the consistency and they can play the 200-foot game. I mean, that's a strength of Beecher's, along with the skating and the penalty kill. So maybe he can sneak in as a bottom 4, bottom 6 guy as the fourth line center. To play physical. I think the Providence coach said that he kind of embraced that role a little later on in the season. He was playing more physically. He was using his legs. He was getting in on the forecheck. Those are all things that, with the guy with his size could be beneficial to the team. So, maybe he can carve out a little bit of a role there for himself on the fourth line. And Merkulov certainly has a chance to be a top 6 player for the Bruins if he can, shore up the defensive part of his game.
Well, you talked about the offense, the young players, and how it's a little bit unfair to have them jump in physically, NHL and all that, and be physical and be hard forecheckers and all that. I mean, Pasternak had a problem with it early on. DeBrusk, has been more of a physical type. Even David Krejci would find a way to be physical enough. So you're not asking him to go out and bang bodies every night, but he has to be sure in his own end. And the Bruins are really, really an organization that really preaches the 200-foot game from their centers. That's why Charlie Coyle, that's why they like him. That's why, Krejci's able to do it for the most part. That's why they love Bergeron. That's the way they play. And they need that from Merkulov. That's why I don't think, Merkulov is certainly a candidate a couple of months ago to maybe take a spot. That's why I don't think he's in Providence at the beginning of the season. Because if this is what's in their head right now, it's going to take a lot in 2 weeks to change that to become, okay, now he's ready to go. I think it's going to take a little more seasoning and the willingness to do those types of things to be a legitimate NHL player. Because look, with a guy like Merkulov, I don't want him playing fourth line center.
No,
I don't want him playing with a couple of schmoes. I don't, because he's not going to produce. And it's just they've done this before with players. Like Stadnik is an example. Now Stadnik, I agree with. He wasn't an NHL player, still isn't, but he had the tools to be a top 6 center, but he didn't have enough tools to do at the NHL level. But he's not a fourth line center, so you can't throw him out there with a couple of bangers who don't put the puck in the net. No. That's not going to help him. So he's got to be top 6 or bust, in my opinion. Plus, you don't want a Merkulov, who really doesn't defend that well, playing third and fourth line center, because those are defensive centers. Those are penalty killers, and
Exactly. That was another reason the Bruins love Thomas Nosek, is because he was a line center. He won faceoffs. He was good in his own end. He was a big guy. He could play defensively. He chipped in, occasionally, very occasionally.
Right.
The goal here or there.
Right.
And that's part of the reason they moved on, is because you can't pay, a fourth line center that doesn't produce, a couple $1 million. You just can't.
Right. You can't.
In this day and age. So maybe that is a role for Beecher. Maybe if he can really kind of focus on the defensive side and winning draws and being hard on the pucks and winning, battles in the corners and that kind of thing, maybe he can carve out a role for himself. Because they could use his speed for sure. Andy's a big body. So maybe that's an option, for them in the fourth line role. So we'll see come training camp how he kind of handles that, responsibility. The job is there, I think, for the taking. If he wants to grab it, they would love to have a low cost guy there to kind of take that spot. So, it'll be interesting to see through training camp how he kind of responds and whether he can grab that.
Sure. All right, Chirp 7. Steven Stamkos seemed miffed today by no contract offer from Tampa Bay. He may be a candidate for Bruins in the offseason if this goes sour.
I tell you, I certainly wouldn't hate it. I think there's some guys maybe a little younger with a little more I don't know. I mean, he can put the puck in. He has a little bit of an injury history, which I don't love. But he's a champion. He knows how to score goals. He has an unbelievable shot. So, I certainly wouldn't hate it. But, do you have to pay him $10 million a year? I mean, if that's the case, I don't know if I'm doing that.
No.
So, would I rather spend, $10 million on, Elias Lindholm?
Right.
$8 million on Elias Lindholm, or whatever, 7 and change, 8 on him, and then another 2, add to another 2 somewhere else and get a really good, second pair D-man or third pair D-man or something like that, or a little more offensive depth up front. I probably would do that instead. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I think he'll probably re-sign in Tampa. I mean, he's been in Tampa his whole career. They'll find a way to get it done. It'll be interesting to see, because I think it's the nature of negotiation where it kind of goes back and forth. Same thing kind of with DeBrusk. He was a little miffed, I think, that the Bruins hadn't kind of opened up contract talks. So it's kind of the off season now where there's a lot of posturing and so forth. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, 15th year in the league, he had 84 points. Like he's a terrific offensive player.
Yeah, really.
I mean, he's Jesus. But I'll say this: with Austin Matthews off the map, and now Stamkos probably off the map, it's getting thin quick. With all those people you thought was going to be available.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with centers is it's so hard to find good centers in
Right.
the league. You know, it's just really hard to find, top 6 centers in the league. So when you have them, you really got to hold on to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Bruins need to, hopefully that's their plan, is when the cap expands to make a splash this coming off season to grab one of those guys and lock them up so they have some center depth.
I mean, if you look at all the Cup winners, other than the Bruins, really, who had Bergeron and Krejci as second-round picks, like all the Cup winners the last, 15, 20 years, all, like, top 10 picks centers, like McKinnon. Oh, yeah. And, I mean, just the list is just Taves, like, the list, Crosby.
Taves, Crosby, Eichel.
Yeah, Eichel. Yeah. I mean, that's where you get them. And the Bruins haven't been picking there. No. So they're not getting them. So you have to either trade for someone that goes bad somewhere, or because other than there was a 1 year Braden Point is a third rounder, but they had Stamkos, who's
they still had Stamkos.
Jesus. So
and Hedman and
right. So I mean, Jesus,
Hedman was a top 5 pick. I mean,
yeah.
Kucherov was a second rounder, maybe, I think.
Yeah, I think Kucherov might have been a second rounder. So, but you had Jesus. You had the Bruins. If you look at now the Hall's gone. They have Marchand was a second rounder, third rounder, right? Yeah, third rounder, and So you don't have. I mean, DeBrusk is a first rounder. Whether he should have been or not, I don't know. But he's a first rounder. But for the most part, the teams that are going to go ahead and win the cup, or the teams that have specifically the centers that were top 10 prospects that were big, and that's what the Bruins don't have.
Oh, Zacha was.
Zacha was up there in that
top 10, wasn't he?
Same draft. Yeah, same draft, right? As DeBrusk. Yeah. So
there you go. We got.
No, maybe. Hey, you got your guy. You got your guy. Zacha. Yeah, here we go. And add Coyle. Coyle was a first round pick. He was.
He was
whatever the fuck he was. Yeah.
But the top 10. So there it is.
It is. You got your guy.
Cup's coming back to Boston next year.
Yeah, that's true. Well, now that it's hockey season, DraftKings Sportsbook, Boston's hometown sportsbook, is live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local in all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up with the code ITR to get $200 in bonus bets to use now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts. That's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If you or a loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist. Free and confidentially 24/7, 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
Don Sweeney talked about it earlier today, and I wanted to get your feel on this. He said that they were going to be highly competitive, the Bruins, and that they were going to be a tough out each and every night. Do you believe that?
I do not. I do not believe I believe they'll be highly competitive. Okay.
Yeah.
I do believe that. But to say that each and every night they're going to be a tough out, I mean, teams have off nights. So,
yeah.
I mean,
seems to me he's talking himself into it. He's talking himself into them being.
I think he is. But I'll say this. I think that the top 4 teams in the division are the same top 4 teams that have been in the division for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's Toronto. I think it's Tampa. I think it's Florida, and I think it's Boston.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo is coming. I think
Yeah.
Detroit got a little better, but I don't think those are playoff teams yet.
No.
I could be wrong about Buffalo. I think Buffalo is probably the closest one. The challenge. Montreal's still rebuilding. So I think the same 4 teams are going to be there at the end. I think the Bruins will make the playoffs. They'll say, oh, they'll regress. Of course they're going to regress. They had the best in the league.
All-time wins.
Okay. Yeah. They're going to go from 60 whatever wins to 40 wins. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. They'll regress.
Right. Yeah.
But they're still going to be, right there, 95, 100 points, right around there, and they'll make the playoffs. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to be second in the division. I think Toronto, and then I don't think Tampa Bay is going to have the year that I think they're getting older. I don't think they're going to be as good, and frankly, I think Florida had a little bit of flash in the pan to them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know they were President Trophy winner the year before, but they made that major trade. They weren't great for much of the year. They had 43 points less than the Bruins, I think. They barely got in. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of a hangover in Florida. I do. And I think that they'll still make the playoffs. But I'm with you. People seem to think Buffalo is a sexy pick. Detroit's a sexy pick. Ottawa even. Like, I don't think any of those teams are as good as the top 4 still. The one team I think that could fall out is Tampa Bay. I would pick, if I had to pick one of the top 4 to not get there, I would pick the Lightning. Because I think that they're slowly heading down the ladder. I really do. They have some older guys. They've locked in a bunch of guys. Samco situation. There may be some injuries because they're getting older. They've won their cups. So I don't know. But we'll see. I mean, the preseason. So when is the last time you went to a Bruins game live?
I couldn't tell you.
I think it was pre-COVID, but I think it was either 2018 or 19 that I went to the game. It might have been 18. So it might be 5 years now since I've been to a game. Yeah,
I think it was pre-COVID for me too, I think.
Yeah. Well, you went to Montreal at one time, but that was pre-COVID.
Yeah. That was pre-COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been quite a while, and
to see the Bruins at the Garden, geez.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a long time.
I know it has been. It's too bad. I mean, I have some games. I had Nashville, but that's like on a Tuesday night in April. That's a tough one to get to. I have some games that I kind of have locked in. Maybe a local game like New York or Philly or something like that. I could try to get to. The other thing is, it's so hard to get tickets to the Bruins. Wicked expensive.
It's very hard to get tickets, and it's very expensive. I was looking actually some of the Centennial nights, I guess they're calling it, or whatever, different nights. They play the Rangers for one of those to celebrate like the lunch pail AC. Team, and I was looking online, and it was all secondary market tickets, and like getting in the door, like the cheapest ticket was like $195.
Yeah. Like, unreal. It's unreal.
And that's
almost,
that's like 3 rows from the top of the fucking building.
Yeah.
Like the Loge tickets were like $360.
Oh yeah. It's outrageous.
It's unbelievable. They priced out like regular people. They did.
They have. And you know what? The thought is that they'll remain competitive, obviously. But if they ever have a year where they dip, those tickets are going down in a hurry. They're going to crash big time.
I mean, I just asked the Red Sox. I mean, Red Sox Yankees tickets that last series at home that were going for $2.
$2. Yeah, $2. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens. I'd like to get to a game, but I may have to finagle something or hit the lottery or something. But what you can do? What do you know? What you can spend your money on, and that's when you go to InsideTheRink.com and buy some Bruins Benders merchandise.
Absolutely.
Shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more. Oh yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
buy that. And also follow us on social media at Bruins Benders as we do game updates on Twitter all season long. And subscribe to the Inside the Rink YouTube page and watch our content on YouTube. We're going to do a Bend One with the Benders YouTube live shortly.
We're gonna do that.
Sporadically.
We got some other stuff down the pike coming up that we'll hopefully be able to announce pretty soon. The thing about the Twitter updates, so Elon Musk came out just yesterday or the day before and said that he was going to start charging a small monthly fee.
Yeah,
for
Twitter.
So if that happens,
Yeah.
you'll be getting your Bruins Benders updates on Threads.
Right.
You can follow
Right.
Benders on Threads. We're over there too. So
we can go on to Facebook and we'll throw it on Facebook.
And pick us up there. So we're all over the interwebs. So if you can't find us on Twitter, if Elon Musk starts charging everybody to use that, then we'll go somewhere else and we'll give you the updates somewhere else. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll be sure to let you know where that is. But we're excited to start the season and getting things going here with training camp underway. And hockey is 5 or 6 days away. The first preseason game.
Yeah, the first preseason game is 4 days away. The 24th.
Yeah,
the 24th of September.
Right into it. Yeah,
right into it. Yeah.
Practices.
Yeah, and you're gonna play a game, right? I mean that
in the old days where they use to get into shape.
Right.
They were smoking cigarettes right up.
Right. Of course, still working part-time jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Until it was time to lace up the skates.
Right.
And get into shape then. But now that everybody hits the ground running, they've been captains practicing for a while, and a lot of people have been skating and working out all summer. A lot of people stayed local to work out. So it's exciting that the Bruins are almost back 100% and looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep a close eye on Hockey East. The Bruins have a ton of prospects in Hockey East.
They do.
So that's we're gonna keep an eye on that soon as that comes to be. But that'll do it for the season 3 premiere, and we'll be back now weekly as the Bruins get underway in this 2023-24 season. Thanks a lot for listening, and stay tuned for more Bruins Benders podcasts. Go Bruins!
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.